Hi, my name is Keri. I am the executive director of New Shelves Books, and I am here with Griff the puppy for Free Advice Friday, where we get together every week to talk about book marketing, publishing, writing, all the things, so we can grow as a community. And we take questions live, so right here on our Zoom, which is at newshelves/FAF, you can find that for signing up for the Zoom webinar. And then we also take questions via email throughout the week to answer on Fridays. And you can send those in to questions with an S at freeadvicefridays.com. So without further ado, let's get started here. All right. Now, one of the first things I wanted to talk about, and one of the questions we got, was about Kindle's new program that they have put out. That's let me find the name because I want to keep calling it Vellum, and I know that is not it. Let's see. Vella. See, that's why. So Kindle Vella is just recently been announced, and essentially it is a short story platform where people can go onto Kindle and they can release a short story that's pretty small. I believe it has to be around or under 5,000 words. And people are kind of getting excited about it as a new way to earn income. But there are a couple of things that have me pausing as not wanting to jump right in. And one of those is that the contract for it is very exclusive. You cannot post this content anywhere else, including on Kindle Unlimited. So you can't even go to Kindle Unlimited, which is Amazon's other exclusive platform. All of the work going on Vella has to be completely exclusive. Also, it cannot be posted anywhere else before. It has to be original content. So you cannot take your book, parse it up into little pieces, and then do it that way. When you do it, you actually have to have original content for them. What you could do is you could write a book this way and slowly release it onto Vella chapter by chapter, bit by bit, and then put it all together for one big novel later. But right now, again, the terms are very rigid for exclusivity. They don't favor the author, in my opinion. So I'm not encouraging people to jump right in. I am more saying, let's watch and see what happens. But I know that was a very hot topic this week, that it was something that was kind of being emailed out by Kindle. And so we had a lot of people asking us what we thought about it. I think it could be great, but jury's still out, and I think we need to give it a little bit of time. Let a couple of people who are into that, maybe short stories would be really good for this. So people doing that, I think, should definitely try it, and then we'll see what their experience is. So, all right. Has your new puppy chewed up anything valuable yet? I remember growing up, our golden retriever puppy chewed up one of my dad's $200 hunting boots. I don't imagine he was very happy about that. No, Griff hasn't chewed up much. He really likes my husband's work boots, but those are not only worn out and he needs a new pair, but they're steel-toed, so he can only do so much damage to the base of them anyway. But for the most part, he doesn't. He's got a little pin right over here, which I'm actually going to drop him in. Well, not drop. Nicely placed. He's got a little pin where he sits and he's got his toys and things. So usually he's not roaming about. I'm sure the day will come, though, as vigilant as you try. Let's see. I have a dog in my new book who is very badly behaved, but loyal and enduring at the same time. Does the puppy like that kind of character, or is it too much of a trope? The puppy is that kind of character. This is the most mischievous but sweet little puppy ever. When we got him, he was the runt of the litter, and he was so tiny and calm, and we're like, oh, we're gonna have such an easy, cuddly puppy. And no, this puppy is mischievous, and you know what? We like him a little bit more because he is. So I love that trope. I think that we all, puppies that are just so calm, they're great and all, but not for a story. They're not that exciting. And that's what I had before. We had an English bulldog before. So she was as calm and as lazy as you could get. Sweet, but lazy. All right. I'm looking into medium.com as a place to put my nonfiction articles and short stories. What do you know? Medium can be a great resource. So Medium is a place where you can post your blog, short stories, and things. And it's a paid subscription to get into Medium. So when people visit your page, you're paid per the time that they are on the site or on your article. So if someone spends 12 minutes reading an article and watching a video, then you get paid for 12 minutes. If they're on your article for 2 seconds, that decide they don't want to read it and leave, then you get paid for 2 seconds. It's kind of the idea of Kindle Unlimited, but it's that idea for time on a page for blogging, short stories, nonfiction articles, that sort of thing. I know people who do very well with this and who make a lot of money. I think that the key to Medium, however, is that if you really want to make it worth your time and effort, you have to be consistent. You have to post all the time. The people I know who do well on Medium post every day, if not every other day. Some of them post multiple times a day, and that is how they consistently get in there and they make profits. We've actually worked with partners who did this and taught about it here at New Shelves. And so it can be a great thing as long as you're committed to consistency. It's also important to know that if you post something on medium.com, you can post it to your own blog, but you cannot post it to any other magazine, article, that sort of thing. So it does have some restrictions, not many, but for sure. Do you think Amazon Bella is trying to compete with Medium? A little bit. I think Amazon is trying to compete with Medium for stories, and I think they've decided, hey, we've got this platform already. Why aren't we making money off of this? But the truth is that while Medium does have some fiction content, a lot of it's nonfiction. I think that what they are trying to do more than that is to get in on, there are several story sites like Wattpad who they allow you to put your content up little by little. And some really big name authors now that are making a lot of money, that are being turned into Netflix movies and things like that, such as the novel After, which is now a series, I believe, The Kissing Booth, that kind of tween young adult to new adult romance really went viral there, where a lot of people were reading and then these were turned into movies. And I think Amazon said, hey, if they're doing it, why can't we do it? And why can't we make money doing it? So they're trying to compete more there, I think, with the Wattpad and Scribd, even as Tara said. Medium maybe, but not as much. However, I think Amazon is constantly on the lookout for how other people are making money. And if they already have the audience, which they do, they have millions of authors who are already using the KDP platform. And if they can then shift them into, instead of going to Wattpad and Medium and Scribd and all these other places, to just use Kindle Unlimited or Kindle, and to use Kindle Vella and to make money there, and Amazon can take part of the profit, they're smart enough to do it. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why they're requiring such an exclusive contract. They do not want people posting on Kindle Vella and then also posting over to Wattpad or Medium. They want it exclusive, and I think that's what their game is. Let's see. I read an article yesterday that readers will be able to purchase 140 tokens for $1.99. Authors will get 50% of the tokens spent on their stories, but it sounds like each story may be purchased for 1 token. So you'd be getting about 1.5 cents per story told. If you sell 100, that'd be $1.50. So again, I don't think this favors authors. I don't. I think it's Amazon and the token system, and that is how it is that it will be purchased by a token. We assume it's 1 token per 1 story, but we're not positive. They haven't officially come out and said that, I don't believe. And at least at first, now those tokens may get more expensive later on. It's like Audible. Audible used to be way cheaper because it was a new program, and then it's ramped up. I expect Vella to do the same, where tokens are super cheap at first. They're just trying to get people into the system, dependent on them, and then they'll start ramping up the prices. But in the meantime, the authors participating are not going to be making very much money. However, they can't be building their platform. So if they're already on places like Wattpad, which is giving away a lot of your writing for free, essentially, then, you know, I guess in that case, $1.50 for 100 stories is better than nothing. And then you're still building a platform, is how a lot of people see it. So I can see both sides. I can see the people who'd be willing to take the hit in order to do it. I would, like I said, I'd reserve it if it's maybe short stories and you want to build a following and you've got a ton that you've already written, maybe. But it seems, as some things do, it seems very cited towards Amazon, their profit, building their platform. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Let's see. Yes, Victoria. The other one I'm talking about is Wattpad. It's Wattpad. All right. Let's see. Is it true that ebooks cannot be created from an Adobe Acrobat PDF and that they have to be created from a Word file? So all the work that my designer did in formatting and design cannot go into my ebook. Yes and no. You can start with a PDF for sure. However, if you've got a lot of graphs, if you've got things like that, and I'm no ebook formatter, let's say that first, but if you've got a lot of graphs, if you have a lot of images or complex things like that, what happens is that when you are formatting and you're trying to take those from a PDF, you're actually saving them as a lower quality, and that is the problem typically. If it's just chapter book, something like that, it's a little bit different. I've certainly had ebooks formatted from a PDF. But that's not to say it's not easier from a Word document. And if you are doing an auto conversion, let's say on Draft to Digital or on Kindle, they require a Word document for conversion. So just depends on what you're doing, what you have. Yeah, so Terry's saying it's not ideal. You can also end up with headers, footers in the ebook then. Exactly. It's not ideal. It's doable, not ideal. Yes. Is there a way to ask Amazon to merge Audible reviews and Amazon reviews for the same book? Unfortunately, no. So I actually was talking to someone else about this recently. When we look at Amazon reviews, our ebook, our paperback, our hardcover, we can merge all of those onto one file or one page, and we can merge all those reviews because they're all for a written book. When people are leaving reviews, typically they're leaving reviews for the actual content of the book. They're not leaving the reviews of, you know, it's printed well or the cover peeled back or something. That's more customer service. They're leaving it for the written word. When they are leaving an Audible review, they are also reviewing the narrator. So it's not just the story, it's the narrator. And that is why they keep them separate, because in their mind, it is completely reviewing a different product. It would be like saying, I would like to merge my book reviews with my Netflix series reviews, but your actors could not be awesome. And, or, I mean, how many times have we seen that? Percy Jackson, the movies are like one of the easiest things to compare. The series and the people who like the movies were so off that they haven't even finished the series. And this is a huge series. It's made a lot of money. And so sometimes it doesn't cross over, and that's why they don't do it. People who are doing Audible reviews not only have to actually get the book from Audible, but they then have to leave a review on Audible. Same thing with Author Central at the moment. You can claim your Audible book, but you cannot add in editorial reviews and all of that from the Audible or from Author Central. You have to do it through the actual Audible platform, where you can claim an author profile on Audible, which is important to know as well. Let's see. Is there a problem if a book title is similar to another book title? Typically, no, as long as that title is not trademarked. You cannot copyright a title, but you can trademark some of the things on the title. So as long as it's not trademarked, You also cannot use, like, there's rules as far as like you can't use like famous people's names and that kind of thing. So aside from that, though, as far as just book title, no, the thing you want to look at though is when you're looking at this book title, if it's exactly the same, will that person be your competition, in the sense that if you're paying for ads, are they going to be bidding you up because they're bidding on the same title, the same keywords? If you are being searched, will it confuse your reader? Will you market your book and they will go buy the wrong one because it looks too similar? So especially if it's in the same genre, be careful. But as far as similar title, no. There are so many books out to not have a book that has a similar title, or at least some of the same keywords, is honestly kind of hard. So don't worry about that. There are even books with the same exact title. Subtitles can tend to be different, or, you know, if it's a series, that kind of thing. I don't encourage you to go and name a book the same title as another book, but it does happen. It's not like against rules. It's just, again, knowing what you're getting into. Was this book that has the same title 20 years old and no longer really current competition? Was it a book that didn't really pick up, so when people see it, they'll know? Did you have a book title in mind for your romance that has to do with cooking or being in the kitchen, and there's this old cookbook? Like, things that people obviously will not think, oh, is it this one or this one? I mean, a cookbook and a romance book tend to look a little bit different. So that's the kind of thing I wouldn't worry about. Let's see. Another Audible question. I've released a new recording of an audiobook. Is there a way in Author Central to disconnect old recording? You can write in and request that they do that. However, keep in mind that it is Amazon's policy that they never fully get rid of any old edition. You can add on new editions, and when you merge the two together, the old edition and the new edition, you can save reviews, and the new edition is the one that becomes more prominent. However, it's Amazon's policy that since people can resell used goods, old items, that they never get rid of a product. It kind of gets pushed to the bottom, but it always stays around. So you may ask if they'll take it off Author Central, and they may do that, but it will always be on the Amazon platform. So if that old Audible recording already has reviews and things like that, and it could possibly help you, I would consider just merging them and asking them to do that, so that you get the reviews over and that you get the boost and you acknowledge, yep, there was an old edition, but this is the new edition. So it just depends on the state of the old edition, I think. All right. I know I said we've got some emailed questions in, so I want to respect those and go check this out. Oh, I was so organized. I had it up in my email and everything, then I lost it. All right, here we go. Nope. I swear, one day I'll be really organized on Free Advice Friday. I'll shock you all. Let me see. Nancy, I had your question up and I've lost it, so I'm finding it right now. Let's see. Meantime, if you guys have live questions, again, Q&A box so I don't lose them, please. Let me see. I had it, which is the sad part. I had it. I've lost that question, but I had it. I am sorry, you guys. I thought I had it right here, and it looks like I've probably put it in the wrong folder, so I don't have it. Yeah, it's shock and amaze. I've got to do something here. All right. Oh, it would help if I could spell as I search. This is when, like, in TV, we'd go to a commercial, right? You guys aren't that lucky. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Question. All right. What, in your opinion, are the top 5 to 10 elements to include in a Zoom book launch? And is Zoom the best way to create a platform for a book launch? Here is the thing. Zoom can be great in the sense for a book launch if you are doing something that is invitation only, if you are doing something that you would like to widely promote. But if it's just a launch and all you're doing is going to say, my book is here, not so much. You have to have something to draw people to Zoom, either a specific agenda, a reason to sign up. Are you giving away prizes to people who register, which would encourage them? Yes, I hear you. Sorry, guys. You come here. My sidekick is not very happy today. All right. Sorry about that. So Zoom. That's right. He's just busy here. So Zoom is definitely one of those things where people have to want to sign up. It's not something everybody has or everybody uses. It depends on your demographic. Also, if you're doing Zoom, aside from an agenda, I'd really expect that you would be doing something like interviews where you would have more than one person on, possibly doing a short class or something if you're nonfiction. You really have to have a reason for why you're going on Zoom, and know that it will not fit all of your audience. It does certainly hit all the people who are not on social media, but it is a program that has to be signed up for and downloaded and all that kind of stuff. So just know that. And I think the key here is making sure you have more than one person, to making sure that it's not just one person talking about their book, having a play, having different people come back in and out, having something going on, giveaways going on, an agenda. That is the key to any launch, whether you do it on Facebook Live or if you're doing it in person. I think that having multiple people to keep things exciting, having a plan. Jane Willen, who's on the call with us, she did a book launch and she did a Facebook Live and I loved it. She had people writing questions, and we also came up with some questions just as backup. And she had her husband ask the questions. So even though he wasn't the one who'd written the questions, it was a way to field people to kind of talk back and forth, and made it more fun. It gave her someone to play off of, and they're just fun anyway, so I love them. But that's the kind of thing that's important, is that making sure that it's not just one person sitting there with, just come watch me launch my book. What does that mean? And whether that's on Facebook or it's a series of things. A lot of people are like, I don't want to go live. I'm not comfortable going live. How can I launch my book on social media? You may launch it with a big blog announcement. You can you may have a blog announcement. You can have a series of Facebook posts and giveaways. You can do all sorts of things. It's just making sure that you make a big deal out of it and you have a plan. Don't just think that because you're launching that it's going to be, it's going to excite everybody else. You have to find what excites them and draw them in. Yes, I may not have any more fingers by the time he's done. He actually doesn't have that, like, it's a lot of gum in there still, luckily, or else I might be in pain here. So yes, that is the question for Zoom. Let's make sure I answered the whole thing. And yes, if your Eventbrite is a way to launch it, if you're doing Zoom, you can put it on, Zoom has reminders, as you all who are on Free Advice Friday get those reminders. There are definitely ways to do it. Again, it just depends on your audience and what you're putting into the plan. And I'm noticing that bookstores are hosting Zoom book launches. What advice do you have about this concept? Again, typically with bookstores, many times they're either doing it because they have to do live events, and Zoom is a way to control the number of people coming in. And in some cases, they will actually sell tickets to that. So if it's a bigger name author, they're actually selling tickets, and it's more of like a chat with your favorite author, that kind of thing. So I think what's happening is bookstores and libraries everywhere. Zoom's not preferred. Let's be honest. I mean, it's not always our favorite way to get together with friends or to go to an event. But in these times, it is what it is. And if it's all we have, then we're going to give it a go. Is it always successful? No. Let's be honest. Sometimes it flops and not a lot of people show up, or a lot of people RSVP, and then you're left standing there. So always have a plan. Do not depend on your audience to be the sole push for your event. Take live questions, great, but have some questions in your back pocket that you can talk about just in case. I always do that here on Free Advice Friday. I'm always looking, before we come online, well, throughout the week, I'm always looking at publishing industry news and things like that, so that if I am here and it's crickets, well, I have the gift of gab and I will just talk your ear off on industry news and what's going on, because otherwise you sit here and it's just crickets. So have a plan, have a backup plan. And I think that whatever you do, as long as you plan well, typically it will go off well, and it may not be exactly as you thought, but it'll be great anyway. Let's see. If a book has won an award, can we update the cover with the award badge on it? I've heard we can put the badge on our website, but not the book cover itself. Michael, that depends on the award rules. So typically when you win an award, the award organization will email you with a copy of the award, like a PNG or some type of file, and they will say this is how you can use it. Sometimes it only includes using it in your marketing on your website. Sometimes it doesn't really have rules, in which case you can use it on your book cover. It's completely dependent on the rules of that specific organization. And they are all different. So check out the rules for where you're at. And if you're unsure, you can always email that organization and ask them what it is. And certainly awards on our books can make it look awesome. So I think that it can be great as long as it can be integrated into your book cover without covering important information. Like, I would not put an award on there at the cost of covering your title, your name, something like that. This little nugget. All right. Today's the last day to place an ad in the IBPA mailing to bookshops. Do you have any experience with this? And is it a good idea for latest book? Yes. So the IBPA, we love IBPA. We support IBPA and we think they are fabulous. They do have a list of bookshops and bookstore mailings, and they will mail it out. I believe it's priced per quarter page or a whole page. It starts around $400 and goes up for IBPA members if you are doing their bookstore listing. I think that unless you are personally, so here's the thing with bookstores. Unless you're super famous, unless you're on the New York Times bestseller list, the only way bookshops and bookstores are really going to be carrying your book is if someone tells them about it. Now, that may be you. You may have your one sheet together and be going from store to store or your local stores and asking them to carry your books, which I think is awesome. I think you absolutely should be doing that. But a lot of people get tripped up because they say, I don't have the time, or by the time I get the time, my book will be old. If you have the funds to do this, just know that when IBPA sends out their catalog, it is a catalog. You're listed with many other books. It is sent out. And yes, absolutely, bookstores do check it out. They do look through it. They do read it. It's very similar to when New Shelves does a bookstore mailing, only this is a catalog. It's an emailed catalog. It's a bit bigger catalog. IBPA has respect within the industry, so they certainly have contacts and that sort of thing. So if you are not going to do the work of pitching your book, or you want a big push to start it out, I think the IBPA mailings are a great consideration. Do know you put your book in the mailing, you get to help, you tell them what you want in it, you get to see the design, and then your part is done. You get a report back. You do not, it's not like people will be calling you. And the only way to know that your book has sold is to check your sales dashboards. It's just to check your Ingram wholesaler, Ingramspark dashboards. Not going to have any hair left is what I'm not going to have. So it's not like they will be reporting back, hey, 10 stores said that they'd love to order 20 copies. That's not how it works. It is one of the advertisements where you pay the money for the chance to be seen. Then your book has to sell itself. So if you've got the money to do that, to know that it's a bit of a chance, but you have to be seen to be bought. And if that is a goal of yours, I think it's worth it. I will caveat by saying that bookstores are looking for newer books. They're typically looking for a book that has been published in the last year or two. So I do not recommend that you do this for a book that's 10 years old. I don't care how popular it is. If it's older, not as much. So just keep that in mind when you're doing things. If you've got professional reviews, that will help. So yeah, like I said, it's very much like the New Shelves mailings. It's probably a different list. We here at New Shelves have curated our own list, as has IBPA. But it's a very respected company, and people do these mailings for a reason, because for some people they work. And IBPA stands for Independent Book Publishers Association. It is an organization. You pay for a membership, you get discounts, you get support. They have a big conference every year. And IBPA is awesome. They are one of the great supporters. I'd say IBPA, which is the Independent Book Publishers Association, and Ally, which is the Alliance of Independent Authors, are the two big players that are organizations supporting authors in the industry. They are big organizations that really help connect resources. They do teaching, they do learning. They are hubs of activity for indie authors, and we love them. I actually got to sit down with Orna Ross, who is the founder of Ally, this week. And man, that woman, she knows a ton. She's amazing. I've got some sound clips that I'll be releasing soon, as well as a written interview that I was able to nab from her, and she's amazing. So highly recommend those two. If you're not a part of them, I would highly encourage you at least go look into them. If you plan to self-publish, if you are doing the indie thing, they are great sources of information, discounts, connections, all of that. Yeah, they just had an IBPA conference that I heard was really great. All right. Yeah. I think one of their keynote speakers was actually CEO of Barnes & Noble, which I think was awesome. And he said bookstores are looking back up. They're starting to open up and get titles in. They're trying to reduce their returns and all of that. So very positive. Yeah. Very, very positive. They, Publishers Weekly, I think, did an article, and then there was another one that came out from IBPA on that. So, which it's sad because it's only Friday, but our newsletter goes out on Tuesday. And so obviously it's been a couple days, and I believe that one of those articles was in our newsletter that goes out on Tuesday, but it's been like 3 days. So I honestly don't remember. Which is just sad. This does not bode well for my senior years. Yeah, so Terry's saying the neat thing about the CEO of Barnes & Noble is that he also owns a small publishing company and an indie bookstore. So he has a lot of insights into indie publishing, which is awesome. I think that's needed. And I think one of the things that Orna Ross and I were talking about yesterday is that the makeup of the publishing industry is changing. Yes, trade publishing and the big top 5, soon to be top 4, they are still huge players. But what we're seeing more and more is that indie publishing is growing in a way that there's a lot of respect for indie publishing if done correctly. And that I think a lot of authors and even publishers are recognizing that when they stand on their own, they have more creative control, and they're still able to put out fantastic books to make a living. Their authors often make more money and that kind of thing. So it's just amazing to see how that's kind of shifting and changing, that as the big players get bigger, the small players are also starting to control more of the industry as well, because they have the numbers. And they also have a lot of the audience that's reading, because there's personal support behind them. Let's see. Yeah, and Barnes & Noble is also starting to give their individual stores, the local stores, more autonomy, so it'll be easier for indie authors and local authors to get into their local stores. It used to be a couple of years ago that local stores they were not allowed to just make a decision that they would keep a book in that store. It was only decided by the New York office, the small press department. So that's another great thing that's coming out of it. Speaking of indie bookstores, by the way, don't forget that indie bookstore day is coming up. I believe it's next Saturday, the 24th. So get out there, sing your indie bookstore's praises, tell people to go buy your book at the indie bookstore. We absolutely love IndieBound. You can also use bookshop.org. But for sure, make sure that all the time, but on indie bookstore day, especially, which is on the 24th, that you support your local indies, go buy something fun from there. I like to take my kids and let them go pick something. So that's always fun. We love our local bookstore, which is Liftbridge Bookshop. They do all the fun field trips for kids and stuff around here. I just love our bookstore. Do you have an audiobook company you recommend? I don't want to use Audible. So I think you might mean ACX. ACX is Amazon's audiobook platform that gets your book up onto Audible, and that is the author exchange, or the audiobook exchange, I'm sorry. So if you don't want to use ACX, which is, of course, has exclusivity, you can go through Findaway Voices. That's another popular one. And those are pretty much for indie authors, unless you're doing it all on your own and going from distributor to distributor. ACX and Findaway Voices are the two easiest options to use and the most commonly used audiobook options for basically everyone indie. All right. If you use hashtags, will your post show up on those Instagram group sites, or do they follow you to have the post show up? I'm not sure what you mean by Instagram group sites, because Instagram doesn't really have groups. So if you could clarify a little bit of what you mean, then I will try to answer that. Let's see. All right. Speaking of physical stores, any experience with Costco? Yeah, so Costco can be a great way to get into local stores. Authors Republic for audiobooks as well. So Authors Republic is another one. Thank you, Caroline. Costco. So the thing with Costco, when you're looking at Costco, is that they may be willing to go locally. But when people think they're getting in locally, they think that Costco is just going to buy a bunch of their books and put them on the floor. Not so much the case. When you do a Costco, typically what it is they allow you to come in as a seller on a weekend during lunch hours, that kind of thing, and promo your book. Sometimes there's a fee, that kind of thing, but then it's basically you're consigning your book, but you're working a booth is often how it works. So just know that's the case. You can absolutely get in that way. But I remember as a little girl, let me put this little boy down. I remember as a little girl, my mom and her best friend were part of a bowling league, and we went every Wednesday. We went to bowling league. There was a daycare, and me and my mom's best friend's kids, who are also my best friends, we went to this daycare because we were homeschooled. And then after the bowling league, we went to Costco, and it was always around lunchtime. And so we'd go through Costco and we'd sample all the things, and that was lunch. And so those people that are standing at the ends of the end caps of stores that are giving away samples, that have booths. That's kind of how most Costco's work to get in a product, whether it be a food sample or it's a book. That's how they often work, is either on certain hours or on weekends, they will have people in. I know a lot of that stopped when COVID started, but I believe it started up in some areas. So just know that it's not just talking to them and saying, will you carry my book? There's usually some time commitment involved as well. I know the Costco samples hold such nostalgia for me. I just love it. As I said, it was like a tradition, a weird tradition, but one that I still love. So in Costco, again, they're great because they are regional and you can get in locally. And if you do well locally, then they'll consider carrying your book elsewhere. But it usually, almost every store, almost every chain store wants to start small. It's just Costco typically is more of a involvement. Whereas if you get into a Walmart, they don't want you like sitting there selling your books. They just will carry them, but they're going to carry them in like a store or two before they go wider. So just know that. But if you've got everything up, you're willing to do consignment, you've got wholesale, then absolutely you can reach out to Costco and see what they say. I mean, the worst people can do is say no. I feel like, you know what, we can have big asks. Let's go to the people that we don't think will say yes. Let's go to the big authors for an endorsement. Let's go to the big companies and let's ask. As long as we're prepared and we're realistic, sometimes we're surprised when we get a yes, and sometimes we get a no, and it's like, okay, well, you know what? I tried. I'm not wondering, and maybe I'll build up my success and try again. Persistence sometimes pays off too. So don't be afraid to ask big, because yes, sometimes it means you fail big, but it also means that sometimes you win big. So take the chance and go for it. And sometimes they'll say not yet, which is just, again, it's another way of, if they're saying not yet, but if you do this, this, and this is what I can do for you. You still learn something. You're still moving forward. How do you approach Costco as the best way online? You can certainly try to get an email. I would personally call your local Costco and ask for the person who makes the either purchasing or the booth decisions, and then talk to them directly. They may ask you to come in. They may want to actually see the book. They may say, sure, bring by the book and we'll look at it, make sure it's up to our standards. So email or call, but trying to find the person, which is typically some type of manager at that store who does either the booth events or the purchasing for a local. Excuse me. All right. So the question back, let's go back to hashtags and Instagram. If I use hashtags, will my post show up with the big hashtags? So if we use hashtag adoption, which has millions of followers and also has millions of views and uses, will my post show up? Absolutely it will. However, it's very important to know the difference between the difference of using a hashtag and being the top story and being the most recent story. So yes, it does help you in the algorithms. It does help you show up. However, let me see if I can pull up Instagram and go live here to show you guys the difference. All right, let me go live. All right, I'm going to go on to, so this is the New Shelves Instagram. If you're not following us, you should be. Total plug there. But so here's the New Shelves Instagram. And we recently posted about Dear Day, which is Drop Everything and Read Day. I should have taken our own advice and done that, because that would have been awesome. But anyway, authors of Instagram. This is a huge hashtag. So if I click on this, of course, it's going to take me here. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want you to see the difference. Now, let's also keep in mind that Instagram is meant to be used on your phone. It's easier to navigate. It's easier to post, all of those things on your phone. It's not really meant to be a computer program, so it's not as easy to navigate. But I did want you to see the difference between top post, which means these are the most popular posts using that tag. These posts will most likely show up the most. So this one, well, it's got over 6,000 likes. So yeah, I imagine that is the top post. You put Oprah's face on anything and it's bound to get attention. So these are the top posts. Your post may show up in the most recent post. So that's a little bit different because that literally goes by timeline. They both go into the algorithms. They're both searchable. This person has 0 comments and 0 likes, but they have still posted and it still comes up. So we can still like it. It will still show up. And the more that you're using hashtags, the more it shows up in people's algorithms for their normal news feed. Just know that most recent and the top posts are different. It will not get you into the top post unless you make it to the top post. However, it will get you into that hashtag. So hopefully that makes sense and is helpful. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah. All right. I've been reading complaints of Ingramspark community author page regarding poor print quality. Generally speaking, does Ingramspark do a good quality print job? Generally speaking, yes. Ingramspark does have good print quality. Keep in mind that I have personally noticed a difference in the print quality of when we order books and when they're author copies. Author copies just don't seem to get as much attention sometimes as when they're being sent out for wholesale. That could be all in my head, but personal experience says that may be the case. I don't know. But the truth is that any print on demand, any mass market print job that is print on demand is going to have its failures. I will say that Ingramspark, anytime I've had problems with books because of the printing, not because of my files or what I did to my books, but if it's a printing error, I have called them, I've gotten a full exchange, and in most cases, you keep the old books as well. They ask for pictures to see. I have never had a problem with them denying that for me. So know that. Also know that bookstores do know this. If your book comes and it's all crazy printing and it's ripped or something like that, they know this was not the author or the publisher doing this. It was either a warehouse or a printing mistake. And do we want to vet those? Absolutely. But mistakes happen. It happens every day in bookstores. They return them. They do what I do. You call in, you say, hey, these were damaged, fix it. The author does not pay for these. This is printer damage. And so you're not, you're not penalized. The actual print quality, in my opinion, is always been good. It has been great. No problems. And for the convenience of print on demand and the opportunity to get into Ingram wholesale, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, I will say that I am also a part of that community, and I've seen a lot of complaints lately. And I'd like to just bring a couple things to attention. Number one, when people are mad or they're unhappy or they're not getting their way, they are quick to speak out. They are quick to go to social media. They are quick to publicly bash people. However, how often do people get online and give a big shout out to Ingramspark and say, man, Ingramspark got me my books quickly. They're beautiful. Griff really doesn't like being ignored. They're beautiful. They are absolutely everything I could have dreamed of. Not often. We just don't. As a community, as a community as a whole, people don't just go out and sing people's praises as much as we complain. So yes, you are getting complaints. Now, another thing is that Ingramspark used to have a very vast network of customer service. However, in many cases, I'm going to step on some toes here. In many cases, their customer service was being taken advantage of. People who did not have the correct files, who did not actually know what they were doing with their uploads and their publishing, were using Ingramspark, which is essentially a free platform. Yes, they get paid for their printing, but let's be honest. I mean, when you're printing, how many books have you sold in a year? If you've sold 100 books, how much are they actually making off of you? And there are so many free codes and things like that that people often don't pay for them. So then people were trying to upload books here as a novice without help. And instead of going, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm running into this error because of my file and how I formatted, I need to go Google, YouTube, pay someone for help. What people were doing is going to Ingramspark customer service and saying, you're not accepting my file. Then they were getting mad when Ingramspark says, that's because your file's not to spec. The truth is that their service is meant for you to upload a file and for them to print it. However, they have specs, they have requirements for your file. They publicly put them out there. They have templates, they have generators. It is not their job to tell you exactly how your file's out of spec when you haven't followed their specs. A lot of people do this. And then they say, well, Ingramspark didn't help me. It's like, I don't know, it's like taking your kid to go get shoes fitted and then you're blaming the people that you are going to buy shoes. Let's say I go buy shoes for my kid and I buy them and I buy him a size 2 and it's actually his foot is size 2.5, and then I get mad that I have to go back because I got the wrong size. It's a little bit what it's like. So Ingramspark realized that they had kind of moved out of what they are, which is a print-on-demand company who wanted to offer great customer service, but people were overstepping and wanted consulting, which is different. And so I think that they've had to pull back a little bit. They're trying to reset their customer service, which is mean they've had to reduce it for a little bit right now. And it's made a lot of people very unhappy. And a lot of people are upset, not because the service is really bad, but because they're frustrated, which I understand. They're frustrated because they don't know what they're doing. And they want someone to hold their hand and tell them what they're doing wrong, which is great for community groups. That is, we work with a lot of people at New Shelves who come and we work with them on consulting to tell them, this is why you need your file fixed up. I talked to a gentleman the other day, lovely man. Let me tell you, this guy was super nice. And he calls me and he goes, I don't even remember how he found my name. He found my name on Ingramspark group or something where I had commented, and he looked me up and he called me and he said, I'm getting so frustrated because I have a problem with my book, but Ingramspark is not helping me upload it. And so I said, well, I understand that, but did you use their template? Well, no. Well, they have templates so that you can do it. So they sent you back an error message. Did you send it to your formatter? No. This is not the case of Ingramspark not doing their job. It's someone not knowing what they're doing, which he's never done this before. That's okay. I was happy to talk to him, and we found out what was happening is that as he was setting up his files, or as he was setting up his listing, he had a children's book, and instead of doing the trim size for one page, like your cover, of course, I always clean right before Free Advice Friday, and I have no books. Your cover, though, if you have a 5x8 book, it's because your cover is 5x8. It is because that is one page. He had been opening up the file and doing a page by page and saying that was his trim size. It's a mistake that when we talked, I was like, you know what, that makes sense. I get why you're having problems. And he was like, wow, I can get that fixed. And I'm glad that I was able to help him, but it wasn't Ingramspark's fault. It was the publisher who needed more coaching or assistance. So again, community groups are great for that. New Shelves does this type of consulting and assistance. Knowing that your book formatter actually has an idea of how Ingramspark works is definitely something that helps as well. But we can't blame a company for us not knowing what we're doing. And so I think they're getting bashed a lot for that. Again, I'm going to step on some toes with that, and I think some people don't like that. But Ingramspark is not a customer service or a consulting company. They are a print-on-demand company. And as far as print-on-demand, their quality and what they do for us, I appreciate them, and I think that they're doing a good job there. As far as working with new shelves for marketing, we do bookstore mailings to our bookstore contacts. We do library mailings. We also work in digital marketing with social media ads, Amazon ads, and we also do a lot of consulting and coaching. We recognize that publishing is a big business, and it can be so overwhelming to not know what to do or how to reach your market. So a lot of what we do in ways that we can work with authors in an ongoing constructive basis is to consult with you to help find your audience and to give you a game plan of how to reach your audience. If you have if you're on this call, you obviously are trying to market yourself, you're trying to learn. And if that's the case, then many times you don't want someone to just do it for you and to pay them a lot of money. You want to learn so you can grow your business. And we work with people to come up with a plan to make that happen. The thing there is, if you create a plan, which is fantastic, I love doing that with authors and publishers, you then have to go implement it. So we give you all the tools, but then you actually have to go do it. So we work with authors in a number of ways, from just do it for you to helping create a plan. And I love it. I love working with authors. It makes me really happy. And it's absolutely lifelong learning. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm learning all the time. I love Free Advice Friday because you guys bring things to my attention I maybe wouldn't have known about. Constantly reading articles. We are part of blogs. We are part of groups. So we can constantly learn with you because the publishing industry is quickly changing. So, and yes, in some cases, I do think Ingramspark is having growing pains. They also had, their director has retired and moved on. And so there's different things as well. But anyway, and with that said, I will also say, as well as having realistic expectations of the companies we work with, let's also give them a big shout out when we have a book that's printed beautifully anywhere. I say this all the time. Let me get on my soapbox. I think that we should publicly appreciate people more. I think we should cheer them on. And when they do a great job, I think we should tell them. I don't do it enough myself, but from, excuse me, from everything from the person who is making your coffee at Starbucks to the great employee who helped you at Ingramspark or the formatter, call them out publicly, tell them they did a great job. I don't think we do that enough. And I think that we should, because I think that people deserve recognition. And when we publicly tell people that they're amazing, not only do we lift them up, but we create a happier world. And we need that. So let's do it, myself included. No. Thank you, Caroline. I love all of you guys. I love this community. It starts my weekend off right. All right. All right. Yep. Randy, email me. All right, you guys. Well, my soapbox talk is over. So I guess now I'm done. I better leave on a high note. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you come back next week. There is a new YouTube up. If you go to youtube.com/newshelfsbooks, I just posted a video that is how to leave a review on Amazon. Not only is it how to, but it's also the rules. I realize that some people don't love the rules being in that video. However, I had to add both because I want to cover my backside as well and make sure that Amazon does not get angry at me for not sharing the whole truth. But it is a video that does a step-by-step of how to leave a review on Amazon. So as you are I'll drop it in there. As you are trying to get reviews, which we know is one of the hardest things you can do, right? Getting reviews. A lot of people say, I've got people who don't know how to leave a review. Do they have to buy a book on Amazon? That kind of thing. This video takes care of all of that. Not only does it answer the most common questions or pitfalls of trying to get a review up on Amazon, it also gives you a play-by-play. You watch me leave a review on Amazon from someone who bought the book on Amazon and also someone who didn't. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys. If there's any more how-to videos that I can make for you, please let me know. I also, we're working on editing a how to leave a review on Barnes and Noble, because fun fact, you also do not have to buy the book on Barnes and Noble to leave a review on Barnes and Noble. And our friends can copy and paste over. So why not get extra reviews? But otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. My kids go back to school 4 days a week on Monday, so I'm feeling pretty excited. I told Amy I might just take the day off and cry and nap and do all the things. And I am excited for the weekend. I hope you are too, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.